Hey, what's up? Howdy, welcome back. Today is Friday, so I last talked to you on Sunday. Karen was due on Tuesday, and we've got nothing. Daisy's due today. I am hanging out in the barn, seeing if she's gonna go ahead and have her kids. She's pretty licky, so she's kind of licking all over everything, which is a sign. They lick off their babies when they're born, so it's kind of just a reflex. She has no tail ligaments. Her udder is super full. I don't really know how it could get any fuller. It's super tight. She seems pretty uncomfortable. She's biting Poppy, but that's pretty typical. She doesn't really like Poppy when she's pregnant. Karen, on the other hand, I don't really know what her deal is. Her ligaments are getting soft. She's starting to kind of bag up a little bit. But I mean, she was due on Tuesday, so we're getting really impatient with her. But she's just chilling back here. I mean, she's not really showing any other signs other than being uncomfortable. So we're just kind of waiting for Karen. I'm really hoping Daisy's gonna go tonight. So I'm just gonna hang out here with her. Sorry about the wind. It's a tin barn. You hear everything. So I'm just gonna hang out here with Daisy for a little while, probably for a long while actually, and just wait around. It's so boring just sitting out here. So I am gonna go inside and put on my overalls and go sit in there with her. I think I'm gonna go sit in with Karen a little bit too. Last year I sat in with Poppy and that seemed to help make her a little more comfortable, so maybe sitting with Daisy will make her a little more comfortable and she can relax a little bit. She's doing a lot of pacing. She's walking in a lot of circles. I don't see a nest. I wasn't here for her birth last year, so I don't know if she nested. My mom said she was really quiet. So I think maybe if I sit in there, she'll relax a little bit. So I'm gonna go put on my overalls and probably grab a coat because it's pretty chilly out here. So I will be right back for that. I'm back. I got a hat to keep my hair out of my face, sort of. Anyway, so I forgot last year that because I got so bored outside, I brought out a book to read to them. They don't understand what it says, but it was kind of fun. So I brought out our super old and super beat up copy of the first Harry Potter because I like Harry Potter and it's fun to read. So I brought it out here. I'm gonna read it to them. It passes the time. There's no one else out here with me but all of them. And they don't really communicate, so I thought it'd be kind of fun. Ooh. Oh! Well, I guess they do eat everything. The big part of me that really thinks Daisy is in labor right now is because she really kind of hates attention. Poppy's really loving, Karen really grew into it, and Daisy's just never really been super affectionate. And the fact that she's just kind of sitting here and wanting attention really makes me think that she's in labor. Because goats can really kind of change personality when they're in labor. Really friendly goats might become a little more isolated, and really unfriendly goats might really seek out attention. Like Daisy really never wants her head petted, and she just is like really feeling it, which is super abnormal. So it's really important if you have like a pregnant animal to monitor their behavior so you know what their norm is, and you know kind of when their behavior's starting to become abnormal, so you know kind of what to look for when they might be going into labor. So I've just been hanging out with her for a little while, trying to feel her belly just now. But another thing to look for is in goats, they usually carry their babies up super high and they look really, I call them planetary because they look very round, like they could have an orbit of their own. And Daisy, I'll try and insert a picture, used to look even rounder than she does right now, but it looks like she's dropped her babies, which means that like her babies have sunk farther down in her belly, and that's so that he can position themselves for kidding. And you can see kind of on her sides, they've kind of sunken in and become more hollow. and that's kind of more of a good indicator. You can see she's not nearly as round as she was a few days ago. Also, you can see a little bit on her vulva. Sorry to give you good old goat parts, but it's really elongated. And if you look to the side, it's super puffy. So I've been told that when a goat's vulva sinks in, they're having a contraction. But she's pooping right now, so. Anyway, when a goat's vulva sinks in, they're having a contraction. So I'm really trying to monitor that, getting a nice, great view of her back end to kind of watch and see if she's having contractions, how far apart are they, and just really keeping an eye on her so I know when she might be having a contraction, if she started, when they might be getting more severe, so I can kind of watch and monitor and see if she's started labor, if it's progressing normally. If it's not, I might have to intervene later on. But I'm not sure that I've really seen her start having contractions. I haven't been watching her back end enough to tell. But just the fact that she's being so affectionate right now kind of makes me think that she's either started labor or is in the really early stages of beginning to start. Another thing though, goats are usually pretty quiet, but unfortunately Daisy's a pretty big loudmouth most of the time. She's pretty vocal because she really likes treats, and she knows that I'll usually give them to her. So her vocalization isn't a very good sign for me. For Poppy, it was, she was pretty loud when she was having her contractions. I'm sure that Daisy will be. It really kind of stinks that I wasn't around last year. I was at work when Daisy went into labor, so I'm kind of relying on my mom's word for what happened last year. My mom said that she got really quiet, which is, again, another telltale sign that her behavior changed because, like I said, Daisy's really usually a pretty loud goat. Like, she's talking right now. And Karen, we can tell that Karen's kind of thinking about starting labor because she's gotten really quiet. Karen usually has a really spunky personality and she likes to talk a lot. And she's been really quiet the past couple of days, and her ligaments have gotten to soften and all of like the biological signs. But in terms of behavioral signs, she's gotten pretty quiet. So it really varies from goat to goat, kind of behavior and vocalization and all of that. But it's great that I have two goats that are pretty different in terms of like talking and behavior and all of that. It's pretty cold out here, so I had to zip up. I had to put on a coat, zip it up, and then put the hood up. Anyway, I think Daisy's started to have a few little contractions. They're pretty small if she's even having them. I'm not 100% sure. But I mentioned earlier that their vulva sinks in when they have a contraction, and I started to notice that a little bit. She seems really uncomfortable. She's gotten up, or she's laid down and gotten back up, and she's started to dig just a little bit. It's called nesting. But she's still chewing her cud. She just seems really uncomfortable. I've also been watching Karen across the way, and she seems pretty uncomfortable too. She was chewing her cud for a little while, and now she's just kind of sitting there with her head hung. She was due on Tuesday, and it's Friday now, so she's a few days overdue. They can go up to about 160 days. They could be about 10 days overdue. And they'll still be okay. So she's got some time, but I mean, she's pretty big, so she's probably pretty uncomfortable. I really want her to go. I want to see the babies, and I want her to be comfortable again. She still has some ligaments, so I don't think she's going to go tonight. I'm not entirely sure that she would go tomorrow. She doesn't really have an udder yet, but she just looks really uncomfortable, so I'll have to go check her again in a little bit and see where she's at on ligaments. But for now, I'm just watching Daisy, keeping an eye on what I think are contractions. Her bag, or udder, some people call it a bag, especially in terms of kidding, it's pretty full, it's pretty tight. I don't really know how much fuller it could get, so I could see her going tonight. Karen doesn't really have much of an udder, so I really couldn't see her going tonight. Daisy's also due tonight, so it would make sense for her to go. I just got back from the feed store, and Mom has been in here watching Daisy, and she called me and said that Daisy had started to kind of push a little bit more. So we're going to really keep a really super close eye on Daisy because we think that we're going to have babies super soon. If you look at how Daisy's laying, she's laying a little bit more on her side now. And if you can kind of watch her when she kind of starts to push her back in, lifts up a little bit. So she's kind of starting to put a little bit more pressure towards her back end. She's not standing up, so I can't tell if she's got any kind of drainage per se coming with the back end. But the way she's laying, she definitely looks a little bit more uncomfortable than she did before. I put some new straw in. I didn't show that, but I put some new straw in for her to maybe nest into a little bit, and it looks like she dug herself a nest right in the middle. Daisy started to push, so she's laying down and she's really uncomfortable. So I'm gonna go in there and put my gloves on. Mom's gonna maybe film a little bit, see when she's maybe had babies. I'm laying on the floor in Daisy's pen, and she started to have some pretty big contractions, and she started to push pretty bad. So she's starting to present what I'm pretty sure is the bubble, so like the sac that has the baby in it. I'm not really sure because she hasn't pushed much out yet.
Okay.
She's super uncomfortable.
Denise,
But
how are you going to do that?
this next bit of the video is probably going to be pretty graphic because it's going to be her labor. So I'll insert the time to switch if you want to see the cute babies.
You know what I'm talking about? I'm sorry. That dresser is completely empty. It's
I'm not sure if this is the bubble or
there.
if it's just discharge at this point.
So, yeah. That is freaking sure. Do we have a bubble?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm gonna send you goat videos here soon. Okay, yeah, we're gonna have babies, and let me know what Michael says, you know, group text or something, and we'll just go from there, okay? Okay, thanks, niece. Bye. Where's the picture of? What's she supposed to do?
Missy nose. She's coming out brown little nose with a white little foot and a white nose. Come on, girl. You're doing good. It's so good. Come on. It's coming. It's coming.
It's not gigantic.
She's got to get past the head. That's a big baby.
No,
Oh, it's a white head. Keep going. Push.
Oh, Jill, that's a big one.
There's a big baby. Push. You got to push. Push. Oh,
It's a baby. It's a white baby.
a little more.
Pop its little thing so it can breathe. Jill, oh,
Daisy, you got to get the rest of it out.
she's feeling it.
Oh.
Give it to Daisy.
Oh, it's an. Oh, it's tan. I had a dream and it looked like that.
Okay.
No.
Oh, hi. Baby number one. What is it, Jill?
I don't
Boy
know.
or girl?
I
What
hope
do we
it's a girl
have?
because this is cute. It's a boy.
Ah, dang it.
He's so cute. He's a cute boy.
Oh my goodness. Number two slid out before we knew it. Karen never even.
Karen.
Her Daisy never even pushed. Maybe she has. Oh, it's a big one. Oh, get it. Get it.
She gotta push a little bit more. I can't.
No, pull it out, Joe. Pop the sack. Pop the sack. Ooh,
That's all white. Hi, Whitey. What's up? Wasn't expecting that.
No.
Oh, you got no spots. You got no spots.
Oh, chew. Oh my goodness. We have a surprise third baby. We have 2 girls and a boy. Oh my. We've got like quite the colorful crew here.
We really do.